So if you're watching this course, you've probably seen my content on Twitter, and you know that at least once a month I do a post where I talk about how I just removed unauthorized sellers from our Amazon listings, got rid of them. And people always ask me, how do you do that? I do it inside a brand registry. Now, I want to make a distinction here because not everyone who lists on top of me do I go and put in an IP complaint. Now, what does IP mean? It means intellectual property, and that's how inside of brand registry, we can tell Amazon, hey, someone's infringing on my registered trademark, and you need to remove their listing immediately. Now, Amazon is not in the business of getting between you and any of the parties that you sell to, whether it's wholesale and trying to figure out who's allowed to sell it, who's not. They don't want to hear you say, hey, my authorized distributor isn't abiding by the MAP. Amazon could give a damn about that. They're not concerned about that. What they are concerned about, though, is you suing them or there being a class action lawsuit against them because they're allowing people to sell on your brand name, trademark, that is protected by law, and they didn't do anything about it. So they're always going to err on the side of the seller when it comes to brand registry and putting in infringement complaints against other sellers. So if you have unauthorized resellers who are selling your brand that's registered on brand registry and you have a registered trademark for it, Amazon's going to help you to remove those listings same day. Get them off Amazon. That being said, you need to be careful in this process because what you don't want to do is just blanket remove everyone with basically bullshit inauthentic complaints when you know that they're buying from you, just trying to find a way to keep them from selling on Amazon. This will get you in a lot of trouble because some of these companies are big enough that they have lawyers of their own who don't mind suing you because you're lying about your relationship with them, lying about them having inauthentic product. Now, there are so many counterfeiters all around the world that have tried to list my products, and I have a zero tolerance policy with them. If I see it at all, I immediately remove them. I put in a complaint on brand registry, and it's very simple. I'm going to show you what that looks like on my computer. And this is what it looks like here, and we literally just remove their listings. So all I have to do is come on here to brand registry. I can go to protect. I can go to report a violation. I just give Amazon the ASIN. It's going to ask me a couple of questions about what kind of infringement is it? Is trademark infringement? And have I bought any units of their product to make sure that it's inauthentic? Whether or not you say yes you have or no you haven't, I always say no. I don't have to go purchase it to know if it's inauthentic or not. Amazon is always on my side on that. So don't feel like you have to purchase the product to then prove it. That'll be helpful for you if you end up suing that person down the road. But if all you're trying to do is get their listing removed, that's simple enough to do without having to go and purchase the product, wait for it to arrive, and lose customers along the way. Once I fill out this application, it's within 24 hours, Amazon removes their listing. Many times it's within 15 minutes that Amazon removes their listing. So it's very simple for you to protect what you've built if you're registered on brand registry. Now you can also see on here, Project Zero. And if you register for Project Zero, which I think is invite only one of my brands has Project Zero access, and it's my largest brand that I have. If you're registered for that, you don't have to ask Amazon's permission to remove listings. You can just do it yourself. You come into a portal just like this, you tell them what's going on, and you can remove that listing on your own, no questions asked. It's allowing the brand to police all the sellers who are selling underneath that brand all on their own. Now, I'm extremely careful to make sure I only put in IP complaints against sellers if I know that it's counterfeit. So people ask me the question, you got 800 listings. How do you monitor those to make sure that no one is listing on top of you or that no one is taking the buy box away from you? There's all different types of software that's out there that you can use to monitor your listings. I happen to use Seller Mobile for it. This is a really old system. It's been around for a long time, but Seller Mobile has all my data inside of it, and it's one of the easiest ones I found for actually tracking competitors who sell on top of your listings. Now, this is version 1.0. Version 2.0 doesn't have this widget inside of it, so you may want to find another solution. If you only have a couple SKUs, you can check this stuff yourself manually, but I have a lot of SKUs, so I want to make sure that I'm tracking this stuff down. So what I'm looking at here is this section here where it says top competitors. This top competitors section here for the first business I started, One Shop, is going to show me everyone who has an identical listing to me or anyone who's listed on top of my ASIN. So you can see here how many feedbacks they have. You can go and find out the name of the company and how many competing items they have they're competing with you on. But you can also see who's winning the buy box. So you would think this first one here is a big problem because the competitor is winning 12 buy boxes and I'm only winning 6 of the 13 items that are on here. Now I know the math doesn't add up. Sometimes you have merchant fulfilled and you also have FBA listings that are all combined in the buy box winner. So don't overthink that part. I know the math is messed up. This is also one of the companies that I own. So I'm not worried about the top one there. The other ones that are on here are either approved distributors who are allowed to sell certain items, or you've got companies that are on here that I'm like, I don't know who you are. When that happens, I will very simply just click on this here and we're going to investigate, well, what units are you selling that I'm selling? Because I want to make sure that you're allowed to actually sell them. So this is a case where someone is an unauthorized reseller of our brand name, TerraPure. So this person is going to get removed from Amazon, but I'm not just going to go put an IP complaint in against them. That's going to get me in trouble long term. There's a much better system that the pros are using that you can do too. So there's 2 people you need on your team to keep your brand safe and to stay within Amazon's terms of service and not to be putting fake IP complaints in against sellers who generally have authentic product. The first person that you need on your side is your attorney. Because at scale, when I find out that someone shouldn't be selling the product and they're doing it anyway, I need my guy who can actually sue them and make them stop, have a judge make them stop doing what they're doing. But the second one that no one really thinks about is a private investigator. Why a private investigator? Because registered private investigators get access to information that is not accessible by the public, which means that they can reverse engineer every single person who's selling on our Amazon listings. A private investigator can go get information about someone that isn't publicly accessible. They can find out where they work, what their actual home address is, what their work address is, and maybe even help you figure out where they're getting this product in the first place, so you can reverse engineer this process. Now, there's a few good third-party private investigator firms that specialize in e-commerce. If you want a recommendation on one of them, let me know. I'm happy to tell you about it. Hit me up on Instagram or Twitter and just ask me that question. I'll point you in the right direction. Now, I have a private investigator that's automated this system for me. So instead of us going and jumping right to an IP complaint or going right to my attorney sending them a letter threatening a lawsuit for them selling on top of my Amazon listings, I have a couple of letters set up that my private investigator sends out in automated fashion. So when someone is selling what they shouldn't sell of my brand, if I don't know if it's authentic or not, and I'm pretty sure it probably is authentic, but I can't identify which distributor they bought it from, we're going to send them 3 letters. The first letter, and this is an automated process, all done by the private investigator. We've written these letters a long time ago. We like the way that they're written, and they come in a very easy sequence. We send it both over email and also to them physically in the mail. And this has been a great way for us to, in a very legal fashion, get people to remove their listings. So number 1, the first letter comes from yours truly. It basically says, I know you're selling this product, you need to stop, and it's signed by me. Now, if they get that letter and they respond to it, which many times the first contact is all you need for someone to be like, oh, I don't want any problems. I don't want my account health to get messed up at all. They think that we're going to put in an IP complaint against them, even though we don't threaten to do that. They'll take it down from this first letter. But if they don't respond, or if they send us a response back to it, we send them an escalation. So the second letter is going to come from the private investigator. And this is where we're going to let them know we probably intend to sue you if you keep on doing what you're doing. And the next letter you're going to receive is going to come from our attorney. That's the third letter that comes from them. Now the lawyers are getting involved. This is a letter that's already pre-written by my attorneys, and it's going to be pretty much a canned message that says, if you don't stop doing what you're doing, we're going to sue you. Cease and desist. These first 2 letters are not cease and desist. It's a, please will you stop doing what you're doing? The third one is an actual demand. Now, if the person doesn't stop after the third one, you've got 2 options. Number 1, you could go through with a lawsuit. Now, are the damages going to be enough that it makes it worth your while? That's what you have to decide. But for some of my brands, it's made sense for us to do that. But your second option is to now make the assumption that, hey, what we're doing right here in this process has not gotten through to you. So now I will go through and put in an IP complaint against that seller, because that's going to get their attention. It will get their listing removed. Their inventory is going to be stuck at Amazon. And now it forces them to have to prove, where did they get the inventory? Because if I don't know where they got it from, maybe it is inauthentic. We want to make sure that we have to make them prove that they got it from a legal source. If they can't do that, Amazon's never going to let them sell that product again, and their account is probably going to get shut down. But if they did get it from one of our distributors who maybe isn't being forthright and honest with me, I'm now going to find out, because they want their account turned back on. They want this listing and their account health returned back to normal. So they're going to reach out to me and say, Steve, I bought this legitimately from this source. Here's my invoice of where I got it. Now I know who to go to. Now I know where the problem actually is. And so by using this intellectual property violation, but waiting until I've already given them fair notice that it's coming, it allows me to get to the bottom of it one way or another. Or I can move forward with a lawsuit if I decide that it's worth it for me to protect my brand to that level. This is how professional sellers who have built something worth protecting are protecting their brand. We leave nothing to chance. I don't want anyone to sell my brand on Amazon unless I know about it, unless I sanctioned it. And for me, it probably doesn't make sense to have any authorized resellers except for very special circumstances. And you can see on mine, I've got a few authorized resellers who do sell a few of my products. But the 800 products I sell, that's all going to me. Why would I give that profit away? So you have to be able to protect what you've built. And the way you protect what you've built is by being in Amazon's good graces inside of brand registry. Get Project Zero if you can. Get a patent if you can. But definitely get a trademark and use that trademark to make sure that no one can sell the item on Amazon except for you. Now, one final piece of advice. I would not suggest that you third-party out this brand protection platform. Brand registry is something that the brand owner themselves should use. There's a lot of larger brands that have an agency running this for them. And I just ask myself, why? Why would you do that? Because the agency is not going to care about protecting your brand the same way that you would. What value do they bring to the equation? For me, for my brands, it'll always be someone who's on my team who's taking care of brand registry.